Rain was a boy who had seen too much hardship for his young age. He grew up without the warmth of a family, having witnessed their cruel fate at the hands of a devil. His life thereafter was nothing short of slavery, enduring abuse from those who called themselves heroes. Despite the relentless bullying, the hero's party deemed him useless and discarded him, comparing him to his mother in the cruelest of ways. Rain's response was swift. He defended his mother's honor with a punch to Arrow's face and left them behind. Unbeknownst to them, Rain had been hiding his true strength all along. He possessed a secret power, a cheat that allowed him to tame the most formidable species and even enslave gods, with the potential to bring the world to its knees. One fortunate day, after scrimping enough to afford a meal, Rain's attention was captured by a distant scream. He rushed towards the sound and found himself face to face with a breathtaking cat girl in peril, cornered by a drunken tiger. In a desperate attempt to save her, Rain's blade met the beast's hide, only to snap in two. As the tiger turned its attention to him, Rain braced himself for the end, urging the girl to flee. But fate had other plans. The girl, summoning strength from within, soared into the air and struck the tiger down with a single, powerful kick. She was no ordinary girl. She was a cat spirit, a creature of legend. Rain caught her as she fell, and she thanked him in the only way she knew, by hungrily devouring the meal he had brought. Introducing herself as Knid, she expressed gratitude to Rain for his unlikely rescue. As they made their way to the adventurous guild, Rain shared the tale of his life's woes, finding an unexpected listener in Knid. She felt a pang of sorrow for the kind-hearted boy who had been treated so unjustly. Yet, Rain found comfort in stroking her head, assuring her, and perhaps himself, that he was all right. Knid saw potential in Rain, a power he had yet to realize. She offered herself to be tamed, sensing that he might be the one person capable of forming a bond with a cat spirit. Rain, moved by the possibility of saving others with Knid's help, decided to accept her offer. It wasn't just her status as an ultimate species that compelled him. He genuinely wanted to know her better. With a ritualistic chant and a drop of his own blood, Rain completed the taming spell. Magical seals danced around Knid, culminating in a sigil that marked their new bond. Overcome with emotion, Rain held her hand as they ran together, united by a pact that was no mere fantasy. Upon their arrival at the Adventurous Guild, Rain was met with disbelief. Ruby, the guild's clerk, couldn't fathom how Rain, with his less than pleasing appearance, could befriend such a creature. Despite the skepticism and the meager reward of 50 copper coins, Rain's spirits were lifted. For the first time, he wasn't alone. He had Knid by his side. Rain, despite the 50 copper coins in his pocket, realized it wasn't enough for a room. Ruby joked that no girl would share a room with someone smelling like a crowded anime event. Then, a brash man approached, never having seen a cat spirit, and suggested she leave Rain, the ugly creature. Knid fiercely defended Rain, proclaiming him her admirable master. The man mocked Rain, doubting his ability to tame such a rare being. Knid retorted that Rain's strength surpassed his imagination. The man challenged Rain to an arm wrestling match, wagering Knid as the prize. Rain accepted, determined to protect Knid from harm. As the match began, Rain's newfound strength crushed the man's hand, and Knid declared Rain the victor. The defeated man lamented his loss, realizing his days of playing games were over. Knid explained to Rain that his strength was a result of the taming ritual. The power of the ultimate species he tamed transferred to him. She admired his might and eagerly anticipated their next adventure. While collecting grass, a favorite snack of Rain's, they heard distant screams. They discovered bandits robbing an old man, members of the Shadow clan. Knid suggested getting help, but Rain insisted on immediate action. They worked together, Rain distracting the bandits while Knid rescued the man. 3 bandits nearly overpowered Rain, but he managed to fend them off. Knid, witnessing his bravery, felt a surge of emotions, her heart racing and eyes unable to look away. After defeating the bandits, Rain noticed Knid's flushed cheeks, but she brushed it off as fear for his unarmed combat. The old man expressed his gratitude, but Rain's blunt words suggested the man was lucky to be alive. Considering the danger they faced, Rain decided to confront the Shadow clan head-on. Knid worried about the risk, but Rain assured her he had a secret plan. Upon reaching the hideout, Knid's tears flowed, fearing their story might end prematurely. But Rain comforted her, hinting it wasn't too late for their tale to unfold. Rain unveiled his secret weapon, a bee, and not just one, but an entire army he had tamed. It turned out he wasn't just a beast tamer, he was an insect tamer too. Knid had never heard of someone mastering 2 classes before. Rain instructed Knid to seek reinforcements while he dealt with the bandits. Knid, questioning her role as his familiar, saw this as an opportunity to show her devotion and hurried off to the capital. Meanwhile, Rain used his magic to enhance the bees' venom, preparing them for battle. Elsewhere, the hero's party narrowly escaped danger. Lean blamed their new beast tamer for not scouting properly, demanding he tame more creatures for better surveillance. The overwhelmed tamer realized the impossibility of such a task and fled from Lean's threats. Back at the hideout, Rain's bees had poisoned the bandits, and with Kanid's return with the adventurers, they secured the area. The Shadow Clan's leader was stunned by Rain's solo efforts. As they celebrated, an earthquake shook the cave, and 3 king lizards emerged, turning on the bandits and attacking the adventurers. Rain shielded Kanid and struck one lizard, while Kanid's counterattack sent another reeling. Rain urged the adventurers to evacuate the bandits, confident he could handle the lizards. Remembering his past self, Rain felt empowered by Kanid's presence. Together, they overcame the monsters. Emerging victorious, Rain realized that with Kanid, he was unstoppable, regardless of her species. That night, Kanid relished the comfort of a proper bed, while Rain puzzled over sharing a room. The innkeeper's teasing didn't faze him. He was now an R-rank adventurer with a companion he trusted. Despite Kanid's playful jabs, Rain maintained his caution, but Kanid assured him of her trust, insisting he not sleep outside after all he'd done for others. Rain agreed to stay in the room but was adamant about not sharing the bed, expressing his refusal loudly. As Rain slept, Kanad watched him, her gaze filled with admiration for the man who had endured so much. She silently promised to heal his wounds and to stand by his side forever. A week into their companionship, Ruby informed them of a giant creature guarding Stride Bridge, disrupting their trade routes. She offered Rain 5 gold coins to defeat the beast, and Rain, enticed by the reward, accepted without hesitation. At the bridge, Kanad couldn't help but compare its vastness to Rain's millimeter Peter. Their thoughts were interrupted by the arrival of a massive dragon, which landed with a thunderous impact. From the dust emerged a striking redhead named Tanya, revealing herself as a Dragonoid, one of the second greatest ultimate species. She challenged them to a duel, seeking a formidable opponent. Kanad reminded Tanya that she, too, was an ultimate species, not to be underestimated. The battle began, and Rain narrowly blocked Tanya's powerful strike, surprising her with his strength. She unleashed a fiery breath, which they barely escaped, though Kanad's tail suffered burns. Angered, Kanad lunged at Tanya, who skillfully dodged and launched a counterattack. Rain, initially hesitant to join, eventually leaped into the battle, only for Tanya to overpower them both, sending them soaring into the sky. Trapped in midair, they narrowly avoided Tanya's ultimate fire attack. Anonia praised them for their resilience, a rare feat against a dragon's might. Rain then requested 3 minutes from Kanad to implement his plan. As Kanad distracted Tanya with a flurry of attacks, Rain focused on a faint presence he had sensed during their fight and discovered a bird circling above. He communicated with the bird, persuading it to gather its flock. After several minutes of Kanad holding off Tanya, Rain signaled for Kanad to step back and summon the birds to swarm Tanya. The bird's peck seemed futile against Tanya's strength, but suddenly she staggered, weakened by paralysis. Rain revealed that the birds belonged to the Pedo species, whose poison could paralyze even dragons. As they celebrated their triumph, Rain invited Tanya to join them, not as a captive, but for a conversation. She was confused why he just wanted to talk when he could do more. She thought he was very strange, so Kanid tickled her until she said yes to joining them. In the Adventurous Guild, Ruby couldn't believe that a weak adventurer like him beat the bridge's guard dog. When she thought the girl might be a dragon, Rain said she was just a girl dressed in a funny costume. But Tanya cut him off, saying she was the queen of the sky. Before she could say more, Rain put something in her mouth and they left the guild. As they left, Rain told her to keep quiet about who she really is, or it would cause trouble. But she showed off her powers to the kids, telling them she was a dragon. Outside the town, Tanya said sorry for telling her secret. Rain told her to go far away from the town. But Tanya wanted to stay with them for training and hugged Rain, saying she liked how he protected her. When Kanid yelled at Tanya to let go of her boss, Tanya asked if she was jealous and said people don't like girls who can't share. Then, he wondered if Kanid would be okay with them joining her group. Kanad said yes after thinking about it. She told Rain to make a promise with her too. As he got ready, he didn't think he could make a promise with 2 powerful creatures. When he made a magic circle, he started to connect with her. Ribbons wrapped around her, and when she agreed to serve him, a special mark showed up on her hand. Kanid told her to look at her hand, and she felt happy to be connected to Rain. Rain thanked his hand for helping him when he was alone. Tanya held his face, asking why he looked sad, and said she was excited to serve him. That night, the heroes' party felt bad for wasting a week in the woods. They missed Rain's help. Arios decided they should bring Rain back because he was easy to trick. They planned to use him again and then leave him. Meanwhile, the 2 girls argued about who would get Rain's food while he slept. Tanya called her flat, and Kanid called her fat. The next morning, they had to get rid of slimes in the forest. Kanid didn't like them because they were messy. Tanya said she would take care of them. After not finding any slimes, Rain decided to look from the sky. He found a bird and used magic to see through it. His mind left his body and landed on Tanya, but he waved from the bird. Kanid was annoyed that he was so strong, and Tanya wanted to have fun with his sleeping body. They told him to go away and couldn't believe how strong he was. Soon, Rain showed them where the slimes were. Before Kanid could smash them, Tanya asked Rain if he could use magic. Rain said he could only light a candle. Tanya urged him to cast a fireball at the slimes and prodded him to act swiftly. He gazed at his palm, attempting to recall the patterns of magical circles, and unleashed a massive fireball that annihilated all the slimes in one fell swoop. This outcome was anticipated by Tanya because when Rain had tamed Kanid, he had acquired the agility of a cat spirit. Similarly, after taming Tanya, he had gained the magical prowess of a dragon, placing him among the world's most formidable magicians. When numerous slimes reappeared, Tanya suggested they serve as his new training targets, emphasizing the need for him to become stronger as their leader. Keen to avoid appearing weak, Rain requested Tanya's guidance in learning her spells and began hurling fireballs at the slimes. Despite Tanya's lackluster teaching skills, Rain found himself growing stronger while completing their quests. Upon their return to the guild, Rain received a substantial reward for the extermination of the slimes, leading them to indulge in the town's finest cuisine. Rain was relieved that Tanya remained discreet, but during their meal, both girls voraciously consumed his food, with Tanya boldly biting into his sausage. Realizing his food wouldn't last, the girls curiously inquired about Rain's expertise in beast taming, eager to hear his tale. Rain then delved into his history, recounting his upbringing in a village of beast tamers and the tragic loss of his home. Kanad expressed regret for broaching such a sorrowful topic, merely wishing to understand him better. Tanya reassured him that they wouldn't pressure him to revisit painful memories. However, Rain recognized their concern and proceeded to share the harrowing events of his 12th year, when he returned to find his village in flames and his family perished, leaving him the sole survivor. The adventurers who took him and exploited him as a laborer until the hero Arios invited him to join their party. Rain had accepted, hoping for a better life, but instead, he was relegated to menial tasks and constant vigilance. Eventually, he recognized his exploitation. After sharing his somber narrative, Rain apologized for its melancholy nature. Kanad grasped his hands, now understanding his propensity for self-sacrifice, a desire to spare others the anguish he had endured. She affirmed that his actions were far from pathetic. Tanya, holding his hand, declared him excessively kind, a trait she found endearing, and expressed her contentment in having him as her master. Rain's realization that his suffering had not been in vain was a solace. Tanya vowed vengeance against those who had wronged him, while Kanid mocked the hero's party's incompetence and acknowledged Tanya's unexpected kindness. As they shared a laugh, Rain hoped for their everlasting camaraderie. The next day, they set out to confront a band of orcs in the mountains. Tanya decimated them with a single fiery breath, yet Rain cautioned them to remain vigilant. Tanya, however, was confident in her ability to overcome any challenge. Kanid swiftly dispatched a goblin with a stone, but as another charged at Tanya, she deftly eliminated him with a swift tail strike. She had nearly overlooked one, and as she prepared to incinerate him, he grasped her leg, pulling her down. Yet, she managed to scorch his face away. Suddenly, another goblin ambushed them, prompting Rain to slash at it with his knife, while Kanad delivered a forceful kick that sent the creature into oblivion. Tanya fretted over Rain's bleeding arm, but he reassured her of his healing ability and mended the wound until it vanished. Despite this, Tanya was shaken by the peril she had placed him in. As they journeyed back to the guild, her gaze lingered on him, filled with concern. Upon receiving his guild reward, Rain noticed Tanya's absence and learned from Kanad that she was alone at the bridge, appearing despondent. Tanya was grappling with guilt, realizing her pride and power had endangered Rain, and she questioned how she could face him again. At that moment, Rain approached, inquiring about her sorrow. Tanya expressed regret for disregarding his caution, fearing the risk to his life. Rain, however, comforted her with a gentle pat, expressing relief at her safety and advising caution in the future. Kanad joined in, embracing Tanya, glad for her well-being. Inside the inn, Rain pleaded for an additional room, weary of the nightly discomfort on the hard floor. Tanya observed his selflessness, as he had always allowed them the comfort of the bed despite being the one who paid. She found herself increasingly preoccupied with thoughts of Rain, sensing an unfamiliar warmth in her heart. She denied her burgeoning feelings, asserting her independence, yet inwardly, she questioned her own convictions. Before retiring, she tenderly covered him and wished him pleasant dreams. The next day, amidst the forest, Tanya suggested that Rain could benefit from acquiring a weapon. Kanad was enthusiastic about her master's potential growth and strength. However, their discussion was interrupted by the sudden appearance of the hero party. Arrows greeted Rain, noting the passage of time. Rain, choosing to disregard them, continued on his path, leaving Arrows disheartened by his indifference. Tanya's inquiry revealed their identity, and Arrows, recognizing a cat spirit and a dragonoid, doubted Rain's capability as their master. Tanya vehemently affirmed Rain's leadership, prompting Rain to question their intentions. Arrows confessed the challenges they faced in the Lost Woods and sought Rain's assistance once more. The party insisted Rain should be thankful for the opportunity, but Rain declined, suggesting they find another. Mina then disclosed their quest for a noble relic, crucial to thwarting the Demon King's forces. Confronted with echoes of his past, Rain hesitantly consented to aid them. Arrows' disparaging remarks incited mockery from the group, but Tanya and Kanad intervened, demanding an apology to Rain. They insisted on a gesture of genuine contrition, threatening retribution should their demands be unmet, yet Tanya restrained herself, not wishing to distress Rain. The idea of groveling at the knees of Rain made the hero scream, and all of them rejected the idea of ever doing anything wrong to him. As Arrows went to grab Rain, he told him to keep his pets on a tighter leash, calling them disgusting, filthy animals. Because even though they were good-looking, they were still nothing but worthless beasts. That's what I'm talking about. That's why he's the MVP. That's why he's the GOAT. The shock of getting clapped by Rain started hitting Arrows, and Rain told him that he'll clap him even harder if he was to ever disrespect his comrades again. So, to those words, Arrows said he'll give him a chance to be a man of his words and challenged them to a duel. After Rain accepted, all of them began facing off, and Kanad had been paired against Agath, saying she was going to beat him to his knees and force him to apologize. But Agath said he would never apologize to a useless man like him. So Kanad sprinted towards him and nearly broke his sword with her foot, but began unleashing a barrage of strikes towards the man, each one as strong as a hammer. As he tried slashing her down, Kanad evaded, and Agath activated his secret Hellfire technique to slash her down. But she kicked it away like it was a toy, saying that men who carry big swords and try to look like Johnny Sins are usually compensating for something. That's not ridiculous to say. Those words bothered Baldy, so he swore to unleash all of his powers. But Kanad thought he was weak and said she'd been only using half of her power, but told him that it was nothing personal if he got hurt, as he realized she wasn't even trying. The man began trembling and wondered why someone so strong would follow Rain. In an instant, she vanished towards him, saying that Rain was stronger than they could ever be, and kicked him in the face, knocking him unconscious and breaking the tree behind him with how bad he was unconscious. She wondered if she overdid it, but thought it was only fair a man like him got his soul sucked out. On the other side of the field, Tanya faced off against Lean and Mina, and both of them began activating their magic blasts against Tina. But with a single snap of her finger, she neutralized both of their attacks, saying their power was as small as their chests. Both of them realized they were clapped, so they decided to release their ultimate magical spells. But Tanya snapped her finger once again, canceling their attacks. This was one of the hidden arts, Material Canceller, and it is able to destroy the fundamentals of a magic blow and eliminate its effects, saying they had no chance of beating her. Both of them began unleashing all of their magical attacks, but Tanya kept snapping her fingers while wasting their stamina. When Mina told her that she should bow before the gods, Tanya told them that Rain was her master and could tame over thousands of beasts, and might even tame the gods one day. However, Lean and Mina decided to put all of their energy into their final attack. But Tanya snapped in their faces once again, telling them that they won't get to mock her master without a consequence. From beneath her feet, she began casting legendary-level magic, saying that she will make the heavens crush their soul. The sky began turning red, and from above, they saw hundreds of sigils had materialized. As Tanya chanted her ultimate end spell, and told them to accept it, they realized they were about to die. So they began apologizing and begged for forgiveness. No harm done. That one there was a violation. Personally, I wouldn't have it. Although she wanted to actually burn them, she would never want to upset her master. On the other side of the field, Arrows said it was a foolish act of him to hit the hero. But before he could finish his sentence, Rain rushed to strike his worthless mouth, saying he doesn't want to listen to his. Arrows pulled out his sword and started attacking fast. Rain dodged them, but he was confused why he wasn't as strong as Tanya. He grabbed Arrows' arm, asked if that was his best, and punched him down. Arrows didn't understand why Rain was so strong until he broke a rock easily. But Arrows kept trying to hit him. Rain then said he could move like animals because he watched them a lot, and that's why he could dodge Arrows' sword. He also said his cat power made it impossible for Arrows to win. But Arrows shot lightning at Rain, saying he had hero magic too. When Arrows tried a big lightning attack, Rain stopped it with a fire spell. Arrows tried different magic, but Rain dodged them all. Rain hadn't shown his real power yet. When arrows ran at him, he couldn't move and fell. Rain had used his mind to control a bug to stop arrows. Rain was ready to hit arrows for being mean to his friends. He swung, but missed on purpose because a hit could kill arrows. Just then, Tanya and Kanad came and hugged Rain. They won, and later they went to the Lost Woods. Tanya wanted to burn it, but Rain said they'd be okay and thanked them for protecting him. He still wanted to help Arrows find a magic shield to save the world. Rain turned into a bird and flew to find the way. They walked for hours but ended up in the same place. Tanya felt something was wrong. She found a tree making them see things that weren't real. Kanad tried to hit the tree, but a voice told them to go away. A fairy came out, very powerful and rare. She didn't like Rain and told them to leave or she'd hurt them. They ran, but Rain thought the fairy was guarding a special shield. He went back to talk to her. He told her he needed the shield to fight demons. The fairy said she'd attack, but Rain said he'd take it to show he could be trusted. Sora readied her enchanted arrows, while Rain positioned himself protectively in front of Tanya and Kanad, demonstrating his readiness to risk his life to earn their trust. To Sora's astonishment, Rain stood his ground as she released her arrow of illusion, bewildered by his refusal to flee. Though puzzled by Rain's unusual human behavior, as her own experiences with humans involved them ravaging her village and harming her kin, Rain assured her he was not like those humans and implored her to believe in him. Sora, still skeptical, accused him of deceit and loosed another barrage of arrows. At the critical moment, Tanya and Kanad intervened, halting Sora's attack on their guardian. They attempted to convince the Fairy of Rain's noble character, explaining that he had been their savior when others had only sought to use them. Sora found it odd that two beings of such high stature would show affection for a human, and cautiously, she reached out her hand, inquiring about his name and introduced herself as Sora, expressing a willingness to hear him out. After Rain shared his story, Sora disclosed that she could not relinquish the shield as it was essential for her people's invisibility from humans. Nevertheless, she chose to bring it forth, not wishing for humans to fall to the Demon King, and mentioned that the fairies had vowed to the previous hero to safeguard the shield until the Demon King's resurgence. As they departed, Rain noticed Sora's distress and turned to inquire if she was troubled and whether he could be of assistance. Sora hesitated, realizing the truth might endanger them, but Rain reassured her that despite the risks, he was committed to helping. Tanya affirmed Rain's character, and Kanad boasted of their strength, all expressing a desire to aid her. Encouraged by their words, Sora revealed her heartache. Her twin sister Runna had always been the village's protector alongside her, but upon leaving their protective barrier one day, a monstrous demon appeared. Their attacks failed to deter the demon, which captured Runna. When Sora sought help, their leader callously dismissed Runna's worth, refusing to risk lives for her. These words devastated Sora, who never wished to lose her sister. Rain, touched by her sorrow, promised to rescue Runna, assuring Sora she didn't have to suffer alone. Embracing Rain, Sora allowed herself to cry, releasing the pent-up emotions she had concealed. Later, Rain located the Shadow Knight in Runna's imprisoned form, and they prepared to strike. As they charged, Rain unleashed his fireball, which proved ineffective, but Kanad seized the opportunity to strike the knight from above. The knight questioned if Rain was the hero, to which Rain responded with disdain, clarifying his purpose was to save the fairy. Realizing his defeat was imminent, the knight threatened Runna with his sword, but Tanya intervened, freeing Runna. As Kanad and Rain engaged the knight, Rain was surprised by the knight's resilience. Suddenly, the knight created a tornado, but Rain had a plan. He summoned a swarm of bees, knowing their sting might not harm the knight but would distract him. Then, Rain cast a spell to amplify Kanad's physical abilities. Empowered, Kanad delivered a powerful punch to the knight's abdomen, obliterating him. After the battle, Kanad curiously inquired about the warm energy Rain had infused into her. So, in order to explain, Rain said he could put his warm energy inside her again. At night, back in the forest, the twin sisters started hugging each other. Runna asked Sora about the new man, saying she would let him tie her up and do whatever he wanted. After arguing, Sora revealed they couldn't stay in the village anymore, especially since everyone there had left her. However, she was worried about other demons attacking them in the forest. So, Kanad asked if they wanted to join their group. Sora said he had already saved her sister, and Runna liked the idea of feeling how strong Kanad was, so she asked if they could join and form a contract. Tanya said she knew her master doesn't give up easily, so he accepted the challenge. Before the tree, he took off his glove and bit his finger, wondering what kind of magic he could use to tame them. After considering all the magic he knew, he raised his arm and started the taming ritual, wrapping both of them with the sealing ribbons, and his magical energy flowed from his hand to theirs, sealing the pact. Both of them saw the patterns on his hand, but Rain's energy had completely gone, and he almost fell to the ground before the girls picked him up, saying they will always protect their master. Back inside the hero's mansion, the girls wondered why they needed to hide, but Rain gave them the shield of truth. Arios wondered how he found the shield in 2 days, so he accused him of bringing a fake. At the table, Mina started evaluating the shield, realizing it wasn't fake. Before leaving, Arios wondered who those 2 girls were, but Rain told him it was none of their business, hoping to keep the fact that he had managed to tame fairies a secret. As he walked away with his 20 gold coins, Agoth asked him if he wanted to join their group, especially since they had been struggling to do anything without him. All of them agreed to his invitation, and Agoth promised to pay him better and treat him better. But Rain knew none of them had changed, so Kanad told him to ignore the unpleasant Johnny sins and leave with them. Because of that, Rain told him to shove his offer up his bald butt, realizing that the only thing he wanted in this life was people who cared about him, and he had already found them. The rest of the party thought he was a fool for refusing to be part of the hero's party. But after they were gone, Arios couldn't forget about the humiliation Rain put him through, so he promised that he would kill Rain in the forest. The fairies wondered what made the hero different. So, Rain explained that the gods had given the hero their blood, giving him the ability to defeat the Demon King. This special power allows the hero to grow stronger without any limits. But the girls wondered if Rain had a similar power. After all, he was able to take Kanad's strength, T's magical powers, and now he was able to use fairy magic. So, Kanad wondered if he would be able to keep taming ultimate species until he was able to defeat the Demon King. Hearing those words shocked Rain. After all, he lived his entire life as nothing but a slave, so he never thought he would ever have people who believed in him. To protect them, Rain promised to defeat the Demon King if he could, but thought he wasn't strong enough yet. However, the girls promised to support him when the time came, and Kanid reminded him that they'll always be by his side. The following morning, Rain realized that his room was getting packed and wished the other room would open up because he was hesitant who couldn't just ignore advances presenting themselves to him. Later that day, the twins held onto his arms as they went to the blacksmith. When they got there, they thought the dwarf's face was scary, but Rana found a whip and imagined Rain being in charge of them in many ways. However, as Sor started hitting her, Rain found a dagger he wanted to buy. However, he realized something was wrong with the materials used. Just then, a rude person asked the dwarf for the best sword in his shop and put all his money on the table. When the dwarf gave him the best sword, Rain got mad. Although the adventurer thought it was a strong sword, Rain wondered if that sword was really the best the dwarf could make. After all the swords in the shop looked strong but used weak materials inside. When he asked the dwarf if he was hiding something, the dwarf smiled and said that Rain had a great eye because all his weapons were just pieces of metal he made in his free time. However, he showed them the real swords he cared about, saying that these days all adventurers think that buying an expensive sword will make them strong. So, when they get bored of his sword, they throw them away as if they were worthless. To Donovan, every sword he made was like his child, so he only wanted to give the ones he cared about to those who valued his sword. However, the dwarf thought only someone as kind as Rain could tell the differences between his swords. So, he promised to make him a special weapon. But there was a problem, and the dwarf said that he had no material to make them, disappointing Rain's hopes of getting the dagger. A few hours later, they all went to the Adventurers Guild, which was full. When Kanid asked Ruby why there were more people than usual, she said that the hero was looking for people to join his party. Both girls noticed how Rain looked upset, but he patted them on the head, telling them that he would be all right. Just then, Ruby noticed the twins behind Rain and wondered if they were his friends. But Rana told her that they actually slept in the same room at night. Hearing that, Ruby wondered how Rain could become a great man with 4 wives. However, Rain tried to tell her to do her job and asked her to approve their quest to mine for myth, a rare element needed for making great weapons. But even though the dwarf had a mine full of it, all the ores suddenly disappeared. So, Rain offered to find it for him. Donovan agreed and asked him how much gold he wanted, but Rain said that the only thing he wanted was the weapon he would make. Surprising Donovan, this was the first time anyone valued his creations more than money. So, he promised to make the best weapon he could. A few hours later, they started traveling to the mine, but Sora and Rana were too tired to keep going. After all, they'd spent their lives inside and only watched anime. Both of them were too tired to keep moving, and Kanid thought it was a hot day. But Rain knew there was water nearby, and when they got there, they begged Rain to let them go swimming. When Rain agreed, Kanid started taking off his clothes in front of him, but Rain looked away and decided to leave them alone. However, he decided to tame 2 squirrels that would tell him if the girls were in danger, and decided to rest. However, Kanid's tail was bitten, and the squirrels weren't giving him any information. So, he ran to make sure they were okay, but saw all of the girls without any armor after they screamed. Rain apologized and promised to do anything for them, but when they heard him say that, they asked him to just keep being himself. After all, he was the best leader they could ever want. But they asked him to take off his clothes and go swimming with them. A few hours later, they finally made it to the Mythal cave. But Rain told the girls to hide because a lot of Mythal disappearing meant someone was stealing it from above. Rain saw an eagle that seemed to be telling the bandits. When they came out, Rain told the girls to make sure they stayed alive so he could ask them questions. However, the bandits hit them and made them unconscious. Rain realized he couldn't get information from them. But Sora said they could look into their memories to find out what happened. They knelt down, and the girls used their memory search ability. Inside the bandits' mind, they saw that a group of bandits was stealing the ores. The girls wondered if they were helpful to Rain. So, Rain said they were, and they asked him to pet their heads like he did with Tanya and Kanid. So, Rain started petting their heads, and the girls wondered what else his hands could do. After he finished, Rain noticed something strange about the way the bird was moving. He thought another beast tamer was controlling it in the cave. The bandits wondered what happened to their friends, but the beast tamer said they had all been beaten. So, they needed to hide before they were caught. As Rain walked through the cave with the girls, a big fireball appeared, but the twins ran to stop it. The mages tried to attack again, but the girls wanted more head pats. So, they stopped the mages and made them unable to cast magic. The two archers tried to shoot them with arrows, but Tanya burned them, and Kanid knocked one of them out. Once they were tied up, Rain faced the beast tamer and told him to stop stealing. But the bandit tried to attack Rain. But Rain blocked his attack and knocked him down with one punch. Even so, the bandit summoned his most powerful monster. And from the other side of the cave, a big monster appeared to crush Rain. All of them realized it was a strong monster, and Rain knew only the strongest beast tamers could control them. But the bandit said he had been training it since it was young, and sent it to attack them. Right away, Rain dodged the first attack, but the cave started to fall apart. As Rain kept dodging the attacks, he signaled to Kanid to help the bandits get out. Once the girls had taken the bandits out of the cave, Kanid wanted to go back in. So, Tanya said she would watch them while she helped Rain. At the same time, Rain was struggling with all the falling rocks. But before the monster could crush him, Kanid took him away and said she would help him. So, Rain told her that he would distract the monster while she stopped the tamer because the monster would do whatever he said. As soon as they got up, the monster tried to attack them again. But Rain kept distracting it and dodging its attacks. However, the cave kept falling apart, so Rain made a fireball to burn the monster. Just then, Kanid had managed to stop the beast tamer, but he told the monster to keep fighting even if he was killed. The whole cave kept falling as the monster attacked more, and as Rain ran away, he knew he would never let his friends down. He promised to use all his powers and trust in them. Suddenly, the monster froze in place, and the beast tamer couldn't control it anymore. When he wondered what happened, the taming symbol on his arm broke, and Rain revealed that he used his power to change his taming. Even though it's impossible to change the taming symbol, he believed in his friend's words, even if it meant breaking the taming rules. However, the bandit began shouting that he was the one who tamed the Behemoth and spent his entire life training it. His words started confusing the Behemoth, so after he continued yelling at it, the Behemoth started running to attack him. In that moment, Rain used all of his mana in a fireball attack and killed the Behemoth. Seeing the crystal remaining once the dust settled, this was the drawback of taming a monster because the taming symbol could only keep the monster's hatred of humans under control. A few minutes later, the bandits confessed that they all had something in common, and it was that they bought Donovan's faulty weapons. So, to take revenge on him, they decided to steal his mythal ores. Donovan blamed himself because he had been dishonest with both his weapons and customers and realized he was a failure as a craftsman. Rain agreed that he was indeed a worthless failure of a blacksmith, but held his hand, telling him to make it right and to only make the best weapons for the rest of his life. Those words comforted Donovan, and he swore that from now on, he would only create the best weapons, starting with Rain's personal weapon. He asked him what type he wanted, and the only thing Rain wanted was a dagger with a gauntlet. But he whispered into Donovan's ears a secretive idea he had for creating them. Later that night, the hero kept rejecting all the beast tamers, telling one of them that he could only tame a single beast. He asked the man if he could tame an ultimate species. However, the man said that it was impossible for any beast tamer to tame one of them. After the man left, Miner realized that every single one of the people they rejected were the strongest beast tamers in the nation, but were all denied because they couldn't compare to Rain. And with Rain being gone, he was beginning to unleash his anger on all of them and told her to rest for the night. But before she left, she told him to rest as well since he needed to save the world. But he knew that he couldn't save the world yet, not until he used the demonic ring he'd been hiding to kill Rain. The following day, Rain was walking around the town with Sora and Rana while Tanya's massive cannons were asleep. But as they walked, they smelled something delicious and asked him if they could try it. So after buying some, they began eating Rain's sausage and thought that his meat was the best thing they'd ever tasted. Once they were done, they asked Rain about the special ability he gained from taming them because Kanad had gifted him overpowered strength while Tanya gifted him near limitless mana. So when they asked him what ability he gained from them, he realized that he hadn't gained anything. However, Rain comforted them on the head, telling them that he didn't need to gain anything from them because they were his precious comrades that were going to be by his side. And that's all he'd ever wished for. Those words made them happy, and they wanted to eat more of Rain's sausage. But as they walked to the shop, a mysterious man told them to stop in their place and asked for the names of the girls. However, both of them were intimidated and tried introducing themselves. So, the man began laughing, saying they will become his wives. The twins thought he was disgusting. But the man introduced himself as Edgar, the son of the Horizon Lord. So, they had no choice but to accept his royal commands. As he snapped his fingers, his guards circled around Rain, and he told him to hand over his girls. But Rain swore that he would never give up the friends he cared about. After letting those words out, Edgar told his men to attack him. However, they were all knocked out by Rain, and the guards warned Edgar that he wasn't a regular man. So, Rain advised him to stop already because he'd never abandon his girls. Just then, Edgar commanded his guards to aim their weapons at the civilians, stating that they're merely tools he'll be utilizing to achieve his desires. As he evaluated the situation, Rain realized it would be impossible to rescue all of them. But the girls volunteered to rescue them with their magic. However, Rain knew that revealing their fairy magic might lead them to be outcasts of the city. And as he pondered what else he could do, he realized that he'd acquired a new ability to cast multiple spells simultaneously. So, he summoned 30 different magical symbols and unleashed his fireball to incinerate all of the soldiers. This was the special talent he'd gained from the fairies, and he instructed Edgar to never show his worthless face again before departing. Edgar vowed that he'd get his revenge, and as his guards pursued him, the fairies thanked him for rescuing them along with all the other people. They thought he was cooler than the hero, but an old woman advised them that they should depart now that they're safe and go somewhere far away. The hero grinned as he aimed his ring at Rain. When they returned to their inn, Rain learned from the old woman that Edgar had been abducting any girl he found attractive and torturing them inside his mansion. After all, he was the Lord's sole son, so the Lord would silence all of the victims and execute them if they defied his commands. But when Tanya heard those words, she believed it was time to burn his entire mansion, stating that she wouldn't permit him to target Sora and Rana or any of the other townspeople again. However, Rain knew they needed to be cautious but desired to rescue all of them. Yet, he knew he was nothing but a beast tamer. But Kanad knew that Rain couldn't desert this city, and Nanaya informed him that they all understand how he thinks and that he wants to save everyone he encounters. So, they pledged they would always stand by him, and Rain was pleased to have the finest comrades. So, he informed them that they would be liberating the city from their oppressive rulers. Later that night, the Lord of Horizon was going on vacation. But as soon as he departed, Edgar instructed his strongest knight to deliver Rain's head to him, rewarding him with hundreds of gold coins for his service. Once he was gone, he recalled the humiliation Rain had put him through and rang his bell for a small beast girl to appear. But as soon as she appeared, he seized her and began beating her, but all she could do was wish for someone to come and help her. The following morning, Rain headed to the Order of the Knights and attempted to report Edgar's attack on them the previous day. But as soon as he uttered those words, Gillett emerged, stating that there won't be any need for the Knights to investigate it. He said that accusing the Lord once again would have him in the execution chamber. A few minutes later, while Rain was strolling with Kanid, a knight emerged from the alley. She wanted to express her gratitude for his actions. The knight introduced herself as Stella, the vice commander of the knights. She stated that she'd heard about how he defeated the most dangerous bandit group in all of the lands, but she needed his assistance to restore order to her town. All of the knights had become corrupt due to the money the Lord gave them and covered up all of the Lord's crimes, particularly Gillett, the commander of the knights. So, she believed that with their help, there might be a chance to save the country. When Rain questioned if they could trust her, Kanid informed him that she seemed like an honest girl. So, Rain decided to trust her. However, they needed a plan to obtain evidence of their corruption. Over the next few days, the knights collaborated with Rain to execute their plans, and he finally received the weapons from Donovan. Eventually, they called for the knights to arrive at a mysterious building, and Stella thought it was amazing that the knights fell for their trap. The leader received word that the warehouse held evidence of their corruption, confirming the need to destroy any proof. He ordered his knights to eliminate the target once located. Upon entering the building, one of his men was neutralized, and the warehouse gates were locked from the outside, frozen shut by the twins. Despite their efforts, all the knights fell, encountering the special gauntlet Rain had ordered. Although Rain managed to slash Gillett at the last moment, he saw Stella had allied with him. Stella informed him it was too late, as Tanya and Kinnaid had already destroyed the entire order of knights. She leaped down to confront him alone, accusing him of being a traitor destroying the city. He rushed to attack her, but instead threw his sword to distract her before punching her to the ground, proclaiming himself the justice of this world. Despite this, she couldn't forget the man she cared for and charged towards Gillett, cutting him down, stating that no knight would abandon their duty for money. A few hours later, upon learning of the arrest of his corrupt knights, Edgar began beating the girl. However, he remained confident that he could still defeat Rain with his personal guards. At that moment, the hero appeared in the window, warning him that Rain was far more powerful than he realized and could usurp his rule. In response, Edgar threw him a ring, claiming it could be used to kill Rain and maintain his rule over the land. In her memories, the girl recalled the happy orphanage she once lived in and wished for someone to come and save her. Moments later, Stella arrived at the Lord's mansion, announcing to the guards that Edgar was under investigation for corruption. The guards called for backup, and their entire army surrounded the girls, preventing their escape. Meanwhile, Edgar believed his army was impenetrable. However, the girls managed to breach his gate and enter the mansion, prompting Edgar to contemplate torturing more ultimate species. Amidst the chaos, Rain infiltrated the dungeon with the fairies, and Sora used her searching magic to trace the flow of mana in the building. Although she located multiple girls, she found a single source on par with an ultimate species. Rain, curious about this presence, instructed the girls to save the humans while he investigated. After encountering numerous obstacles, Rain eventually discovered a poor girl behind prison doors, realizing she was even stronger than an ultimate species as she was a demigod. After healing her wounds, he comforted her, asking for her name. The girl, named Na, embraced him. Recalling the day she was kidnapped and how her shield had protected her from harm by Edgar, she begged him not to harm her orphan friends. In return, he gave her a slave collar, threatening to kill her friends if she didn't comply, and began beating her in front of them, claiming she would help him obtain the power of the gods one day. Rain vowed to save her, but she believed her collar was impossible to remove. However, Rain told her to believe in him, and he realized that he could use his beast-taming power once again to undo the sealing powers of the collar. But the backlash of breaking the spell began electrocuting him, and Nina begged him to stop, saying that no one would be sad if she was gone. To those words, however, Rain told her that he would be sad because even though they just met, he knew that he would be able to overcome the pain. After all, this wasn't only his strength now but the strength of all the other girls, and using it, he was able to break the slave collar's magic, freeing Nina for the first time in 3 years. Outside the building, the knights continued destroying Edgar's guards while Kinnaid and Tanya played with them as if they were toys. One of the guards screamed at the others to use the hostages as human shields. But from the sky, hundreds of fireballs burned them all down, and Sora and Runa told the girls that they'd rescued all of the hostages. Now that they were all safe, the girls decided to use all their powers, and Edgar realized that his armies were being completely destroyed, growing the curse on his ring. Inside the mansion's hall, the girls found Rain carrying another girl and wondered how many more he would be picking up. However, Kinnaid thought her tail was fluffy and promised to cuddle her every day. But as they continued playing together, the lord of the mansion appeared and wondered how they had already made it this far. Just then, Rain restrained the ugly Fatal, but after he fell onto the ground, his son appeared, summoning the Grim Reaper from his ring and killed Rain in that instant. This was all part of the hero's plan, and he was glad to have Rain die like the pathetic garbage he was before flying away. Inside the mansion, however, Rain was still alive, and all the girls hugged onto him, wondering how he was still fine after being attacked by an instant death status effect. As they wondered how that was possible, Sora decided to cast the poison status effect onto him and thought she had accomplished her mission. All of the girls wondered what was wrong with her brain-dead actions, so she revealed that Rain hadn't gained only one power from taming 2 fairies but instead had gained 2 abilities. One of them was the multiple spellcast ability while the second one was the ability to nullify all special status effects cast onto him, saving him from the demon's attack. As Edgar stared in jealousy at Rain's harem, he knew that he wished they would all die. But the ring's vile powers activated and began swallowing him inside as it fed onto his soul. Rain knew he felt that power before and casted a fireball with all of his mana. But the attack was unable to lay a single scratch onto the beast. From inside, piles of smoke began searing, and a hand emerged to the outside. The demon asked them if they were the ones who reawakened him, and Rain knew the presence of this demon. After all, it was the same demon that killed his parents and burned his entire homeland. leaving him stranded for his entire life. It was the same beast standing before his eyes, and it promised to kill them in the most gruesome ways possible. However, he realized there were thousands of other humans nearby, so he flew away and began preparing to hunt them. Once he arrived in the city, the demon began blowing up all of their homes and burning down the streets. But Kanad kicked him down from the sky, and the demon saw that Rain's group had managed to catch up to him. As he stared at them, Rain swore to destroy him, and Kanad launched off a building to punch him towards Tanya before she knocked him down. While Rain used his gauntlet to restrain the demon from moving, although it didn't have any effects on the demon, it was part of their plan to distract him. The fairies initiated a massive explosion in an attempt to incinerate the demon. However, when the dust settled, the demon emerged unscathed, realizing he needed to summon reinforcements to even the odds. From the ground, hundreds of demonic servants surged toward Rain's party, but the girls swiftly eliminated them with their magical abilities. Despite their insignificance, the demon revealed his ability to summon an infinite number of them and warned that he could also attack. Meanwhile, as others rushed to aid Kanad, Tanya ascended to the sky to eradicate the worthless monsters. While attempts were made to heal Kanad, Tanya used her fiery breath to fend off the demon's assault, but it proved insufficient. After being blown away, Rain rushed to check on her, but she pretended to be unharmed. Recognizing the futility of his attacks, the demon unleashed his magical energy into the sky, causing explosive rain to engulf the city. This scene reminded Rain of his past, prompting him to unleash all of his fireballs against the demon, while the fairies launched a holy light sphere from above to pierce his heart. Subsequently, Rain decided to infuse the girls with his warm magical energy to empower them. With newfound strength, the girls charged at the demon. Employing their judgment ability, the fairies and Kanad descended from the sky to strike the demon. However, after the dust settled, the demon remained unscathed. With a snap of his finger, he summoned hundreds of dragons and ground beasts, targeting the villagers of Horizon City. As he attempted to flee, Tanya aimed her fire breath at him, but he sacrificed some dragons to shield himself. Declaring the battle over, the demon was confident in his victory. Meanwhile, Rain pondered how to save the villagers and defeat the demon. Rana and Sora proposed teleporting the villagers to safety while they continued fighting. However, Mina questioned the wisdom of fighting the demon, prompting the hero to clarify that their target was the Demon King, and they would not aid the demon. Understanding that Rain faced certain death against the demon, the same one who had killed his family, the hero asserted that Rain could not survive this encounter. Concurrently, Sora and Rana located Stella and the Knights, instructing them to gather the citizens for teleportation. As the citizens were being teleported away, monsters discovered their hideout. To ensure the others escape, Rana and Sora split their powers to teleport the remaining citizens. As Kanad and Tanya continued battling the beasts, other adventurers arrived, revealing that the Adventurers Guild had issued orders for their assistance. Donovan arrived with a crate of weapons, indicating that his greatest creations were now free, as he owed a debt to Rain. The adventurers formed a line for Rain to confront the demon, and Rain thanked them all, pledging to save the city. Meanwhile, Sora teleported the citizens while Rana eliminated the demons, leaving Nod to wonder how she could also contribute. Having lived in fear her entire life, she questioned whether it was acceptable to always be the one protected. Once Sora finished teleporting the villagers, she noticed Na was missing. Simultaneously, Rain realized the demon was still out of reach. Tanya knew her dragon form would make her an instant target, and the fairy's teleportation magic would take too long for Rain to utilize. Just then, Nina approached Rain, expressing her desire to help instead of being protected by others. Both girls realized that she, as a demigod, was the key to their strategy, as demigods could instantly teleport. Rain asked if she could assist him, and she pledged her help. However, a horde of beasts approached, prompting Kanad and Tanya to offer to handle them while Rain confronted the demon. Despite the demon's belief that Rain was a mere insect, Rain managed to evade his attacks using his gauntlet. Drawing closer, the demon prepared his ultimate attack, but Na teleported them away at the last moment. Together, they ascended toward the demon, who realized they were using Na's teleportation ability to fly. Rain decided to amplify his powers, surprising the demon. However, the demon claimed victory was already his as he unleashed all of his dragons. Rain revealed his boost could enhance more than just physical abilities and teleported closer to the demon, sealing him with his taming bands. Despite the demonic aura enveloping Rain, he tapped into the taming god powers within him, nullifying the demon's control over the dragons. This feat had never been accomplished in the demon's millions of years of existence. Rain acknowledged that his victory was not solely his own but a result of his comrades' support. As the demon freed himself, Rain directed all the dragons toward him. In his final moments, the demon inquired about Rain's name, but Rain refused to divulge it, and the demon vanished. However, Na's mana was completely depleted, causing them to plummet toward the ground until Tanya caught them. Simultaneously, Kanad and the other girls awaited Rain, and as the sun rose, signaling the end of the evil threat, Rain and the girls stood victorious. 3 days later, the girls aided in rebuilding the city, while the store manager continued to feed the fairies his oversized sausage. After some time, Nina expressed her desire to accompany Rain on his adventures, though Rain was unsure if he could tame a demigod. However, the girls believed Rain was capable of far greater feats, prompting him to remove his gloves and perform the summoning ritual. The taming seals surrounded Na, and upon reciting her name, the magical sigil bands flowed into her hand, sealing their contract. Candy welcomed her as a new sister, Tanya expressed her desire to cuddle her, and Rana was pleased to have a new, younger sister who was not as grumpy as her current one. Together, they embraced their new sisterhood, and Rain smiled, seeing their happiness. Later that day, at the Adventurers Guild, Ruby announced that R had been promoted to C rank, and all the adventurers agreed he deserved the jump from E rank directly to the top G rank. Upon learning they were due for a larger room, the adventurers wondered if their inn was too small for them. Ruby suggested they look into buying a home instead of continuing to rent, believing it could help them establish stronger roots in the city. The idea of living together in a shared home excited all the girls, so they began exploring their options. However, their search proved challenging, as they struggled to find a house that met all their requirements. Their luck changed when Ruby showed them a beautiful mansion that boasted a large bathtub, claiming it was the cheapest option in the entire nation. Tanya, however, felt something was off and suspected that the deal was too good to be true. Ruby decided to reveal the truth, explaining that the house was haunted. While most of the girls were unfazed by the revelation, Kanid panicked at the mere thought of ghosts. Ruby further elaborated on the mischievous behavior of the ghosts, such as flipping pillows, cooling bathwater, and placing curry under seats to make it appear as if someone had soiled themselves. Despite Kanid's fear, the group collectively decided to explore the house. As they ventured deeper into the mansion, Na's sudden sneeze startled Kanid, but they soon realized that, despite its abandoned appearance, the house was surprisingly clean. Suddenly, the furniture in the house began to move, and a woman's voice echoed through the rooms, ordering them to leave. A maid materialized before their eyes, and the fairies attempted to use their magic to make her disappear. However, no matter what they tried, she kept reappearing, growing increasingly angry as she demanded they leave. When the maid noticed that Tanya seemed to be the only one with attack magic, she focused her anger on Kanid, who, in a show of courage, attacked and ultimately devoured the maid using astral attacks. With the threat eliminated, Rain approached the maid, named Tina Holy, and offered to talk with her. Tina revealed that she had died while serving in the house, explaining that her previous employer, a womanizing sadist, had killed her, unwittingly turning her into a ghost. Tina realized that it was time for her to move on, but before she could leave, Rain asked Kanid if she was still scared. Kanid, bolstered by the support of her friends, felt reassured. Rain extended an invitation to Tina to stay, explaining that her presence made the home more affordable. Tina gratefully accepted the offer and agreed to join their party. Back at the guild, Rain signed the contract to officially own the home, with Tina now part of his party. Ruby warmly welcomed Rain, declaring that Horizon City was now his home. Rain was deeply moved, finally having a place to call home. Meanwhile, in the city, the hero approached a shopkeeper and demanded a week's worth of rations for free. However, the shopkeeper refused, calling the hero and his party worthless for not defending the city during its time of need. Enraged by the shopkeeper's refusal, the hero considered getting rations from another shopkeeper. However, all the villagers present adamantly refused to help the hero, labeling him and his party as unworthy. With no other options, the hero lashed out, slashing down the shopkeeper's stand before storming off. As he walked away, one of the villagers remarked that the beast tamer was more of a hero than the hero would ever be, and the hero vowed to one day kill Rain. Later that evening, Kanid expressed her happiness that Rain would finally be sleeping on a bed instead of the floor. That night, Tina and Rana prepared a feast for them all, and Na took a moment to thank Rain, expressing her gratitude for making her feel less alone. Rain, reflecting on his past losses and the void in his heart, realized that joining the hero's party had been an attempt to escape his loneliness. Now, with his new family and newfound sense of belonging, Rain remembered what it felt like to have a family. As tears welled up in Rain's eyes, the girls noticed and questioned him about it. Rain, attempting to mask his emotions, claimed he was simply eager to eat. However, deep down, he knew that his tears were a testament to the new bonds he had formed on this adventure, the new home he had gained, and the new family he could always return to. Thank you for watching, guys.